name is Alexa, and almost 1 year ago, about 11 and a half months ago, I learned how to knit. And so in this video, I wanted to talk about all of the things that I've knit and learned over the last year, and why I have become so obsessed with the fiber arts. So just to preface, it all started about 15 months ago when my boss at the time wanted to do a team building activity, something crafty, and she got us all a cross stitching kit. And so she got me this beautiful cowboy one. I'll hold it close so you can see. As you can see, I haven't properly I guess prepared this so I can hang it on the wall. It's just been sitting on my desk for like the last year and a half, but she got me this in October of 2024. Shout out Stephanie. And this was just so much fun for me. It was really relaxing, really meditative, and I loved it. I also just love the color combo. I live in Texas, so the cowboy boots are really fitting, even though I don't own any. And I just really enjoyed the process of this. It was like the right amount of difficulty for me at the time, and one of my other colleagues had some more experience with cross stitching and I think embroidery in particular. And so she kind of just told me, hey, hold 2 or 3 strings or threads at a time, and you do this X pattern and you want to stay consistent with it. And so the ends, you know, might not be the neatest, but the back doesn't matter to me. It's the front that matters. And yeah, I just really love this. And so for my birthday, shortly after that, my partner got me this little cactus one, which I have not completed, but you'll soon find out that my hyperfixations slowly but surely started to spiral out from here. So this is not done, just because I didn't love some of the colors on this one, and it was really small, and I was messing up some of the pattern. So yeah, this one's not complete, but I do like cross stitching. I haven't picked it up since because I found knitting, which we'll get to, but this is where it all started for me, I would say in like August, September, October of 2024. This is where it started with the fiber arts. And so from there, I think I have been posting to my Instagram stories talking about how much I was enjoying all of this, and a friend of mine suggested that I should check out this store local to us in Austin called Hill Country Weavers. And it happens to be next to my favorite coffee shop that I go to once to twice, sometimes 3 times a week. I always wondered what that building was. I knew they had like a weaving sign on there, but honestly, I didn't know anything about knitting or crocheting. I had never really been around it when I was younger or with any of my friends or family. Now looking back, I think there were definitely people in my life who have dabbled, but yeah, I just never took a class when I was younger and was never really exposed to it. So I think one day I decided to walk into that store, and it's no longer around. They closed in August of this year, so RIP Hill Country Weavers, we still love you. But that was like, whoa, what is this place? There's yarn everywhere. There's so many colors, so many fibers, and I've been somebody who's like very particular about fibers. I don't like wearing polyester. I don't want plastic on my body. It's super sweaty, especially in these southern summers. I don't like it. So when I can, I try to pick more natural fibers, even if it's a bit more money or if I can thrift it secondhand. I tend to like natural fibers. So walking into the store as, you know, a self-described creative person, it was just like heaven, literally. I was like, okay, wow, I need to sign up for a class ASAP. Also, the people that worked there were so nice. And they had a few classes coming up, and so I believe what I started with was I signed up for a knitting 101 class that wasn't going to take place for like another 4 weeks. And then I also signed up for a crochet pattern class to make this cute little collar that I'll show in a bit, like a tie collar. And that's designed by my friend Nat, so shout out to Nat. But yeah, from there, I don't know what happened. I must have ended up at Michael's and or Hobby Lobby. Both of them are really close to me. And our Hobby Lobby here is huge. I would argue it's actually way better than the Michael's, even though, you know, I know Hobby Lobby can be controversial, but Joann's, it's been closing, and I did go to the Joann's before it closed, but the Hobby Lobby was pretty great here. There was a lot of books, and so I'm trying to see. I think this one I definitely bought at Hobby Lobby because it has the little sticker, but I bought this Learn to Crochet book, and I also got a first time knitting book, and this one is like a lot bigger because this one's pretty small and thin. And I just started reading these. I remember trying to watch YouTube videos at first, and it was way too difficult for me. I would say I am like a visual learner in some ways, but I definitely learn by doing best, and sometimes I do just need the written instructions and pictures to help guide me, because I feel like videos can kind of be too overwhelming, and also there's not a lot of pedagogic people on YouTube. Like a lot of the top videos were not good for beginners. They weren't slowing down, they kind of took everything for granted, and yeah. So I found that getting these books helps me a lot, paired with taking classes in person. It was a game changer. So honestly, my crochet phase lasted maybe a month. I can show some of my things from that. I started out with this yarn, which looks a lot more prettily packaged here. I believe this is from Hobby Lobby because they had a better cotton selection than Michael's did. But let's see if I can find, oh yep, here it is. I think this was this it? Or was this one it? Nope, it was this. This was the first little piece I ever crocheted. I didn't really know what I was, oh, see, I didn't even tie it off here, like, let's do that. I didn't know what I was doing at all. It's super uneven. This was me following the YouTube videos. I just couldn't really figure it out. But eventually we got there and we started making little coaster things. And this one actually I use and put my glass in my bedroom on it every single day because I have like a fake wood IKEA dresser kind of thing. And so this ring cotton is great, just absorbs all the water. So this coaster I still use. I basically only made one because this was not the same size, and I told myself I was gonna make more, but that hasn't happened. So this was my first crochet adventure, and I also made this really long dishcloth piece, just like testing a bunch of stitches. It's not like perfect, but you know, I'm pretty proud of this for a first project. I apparently was also testing some other crochet stitches because I bought more books, new and secondhand, about different knitting and crochet stitches and lace work, etc. So this is another little one. So that's where my crochet journey started. Then I want to say after that was when I attended the Knitting 101 class at my local yarn store, and they had us buy another pretty bulky, like this is a really thick weight, I would say, cotton yarn. I don't love this pink shade, but it is what it is. Oh, I didn't even know there was a tag in there. Okay, it's a Blue Sky Fibers, so that's organic cotton. That's pretty good. This is a worsted weight, maybe not bulky technically, I don't know. And so we started with this in the knitting class, and I would say if you, like my teacher at the time, she had said if you can learn to knit on cotton, you can knit with any fiber. And I think she was right with that, but I would say as a beginner, I wish I would have started with wool because wool is way more forgiving. Cotton is not very forgiving, but yeah, I think we did this on US size 8 bamboo needles. And it took me a little while to pick it up. I'm trying to find which one was my first swatch here. It was probably this one because I have some garter and then stockinette stitch going on here and maybe some increases and decreases. I don't know, but that's where we started. This looks like, yeah, definitely a lot of errors in this one. If I don't know if y'all are able to see that, but just practicing, yeah, you know, stockinette, casting on, binding off. It was 2 classes over 2 Sundays for like 3 or 4 hours, and that was a great place to learn. I wish I would have paid a little closer of attention because it took me a few months to realize I was purling wrong. Honestly, I might have been purling right to begin with, and then somehow, you know, you start wrapping your yarn the wrong way over the needle, and I started to mess up my purling. So yeah, this was where the knitting started. Practice some, you know, ribbing, some increases and decreases, like make one right, make one less, and that was a great place to start with my knitting. So really thankful that I got to learn how to knit at Hill Country Weavers before they closed. That was a really special place. Unfortunately, the original owner passed, so, but we are lucky to have some other great yarn stores in the area. So yeah. Okay, so that was enough of talking about how I learned how to knit. As I mentioned, there was about a 1-month period where I was crocheting. I did work on this beautiful collar in that first crochet class I went. As I said, this was designed by my friend Nat. And it's just like a really nice shawl collar. Hers look way better than mine. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to style this so I can actually wear it out. But yeah, it's just this cute, like, crochet collar. So I can link to that. This was a really fun project to work on, but after learning how to knit, as I mentioned, it just really spiraled out of control after that. Learning how to knit really unlocked something in my brain, and it has not shut off since. I wish I would have learned how to like knit or crochet or something in my early preteen years. Maybe I would have spent way less time worrying about romantic interests if I would have had a hobby. But you know, really grateful to have discovered it this year at least, because it's just, yeah, basically what I was gonna say is it's just made the biggest improvement in my happiness and just general mental state. I mean, I don't really struggle with depression, which I'm very fortunate for, but definitely can get some anxiety, work stress, just general life stress, and knitting has been the most grounding practice for me to learn. It's also so entertaining. I'll never forget working on my first knitting pattern I think I bought, which was the Sophie scarf. We'll get to that. And I remember spending 8 hours one day in my chair, like rocking chair in the living room, just knitting, and I was so happy. Perfectly content, and knitting, yeah, it's just been a really big blessing in my life, I would say. And I'm really lucky to have found it. So I also wanted to talk about, before I get more into the knitting stuff, some of the things that I look back on and realize that helped get me into knitting. As I said, I'm just really into natural fibers, love clothes, and there were a few sweaters that I have that people tend to assume I've knit myself now, especially if I wear them to the yarn store, although they're not hand knit by me. They're, you know, machine made. But yeah, I wanted to talk about 2 sweaters in particular. One was this one that I bought in Sweden last year. I just love the color palette on this one. It's a really chunky yarn. You get a lot of compliments in it, and this was one of the things where I was like, you know what? Maybe I should learn how to make something like this. So this was one of the sweaters that got me into knitting. The other one is a sweater I got at Ann Taylor Loft a few years ago, and it's this cotton sweater with this beautiful detailing. I don't know if I can, y'all can see it, that's good. But yeah, I love the little baubles on this and all the lace work, and wear this all the time and get compliments too, so it was about time I learned how to knit so I can make more things like this, because store-bought clothes are only getting worse in quality. I tend to not like any of the colors they're selling, and yeah, wanted to make some of my own. So let me open up my little cute notebook here to talk about my first knitting projects and what I knit this year, finally. So, the first knitting project I ever did was a worsted weight Sophie scarf. For those who aren't familiar with worsted weight or the Sophie scarf, worsted weight is like, it talks about the thickness of the yarn, so it's just a little bit thicker of a yarn, and I made a very, very popular knitting pattern called the Sophie scarf by a designer named Petite Knit. And I'll insert pictures, you know, somewhere around here to show her picture of what it should look like, and also mine. This was a huge project for me. I remember it took me probably 2 or 3 weeks to even finish that first scarf. I kept making so many mistakes, probably not the best beginner's project, to be honest, but I learned a lot. It has an I-cord edge, which is pretty basic in knitting, so that is a good skill to learn, but that I-cord edge, man, every time I would mess up or have to like try to go back and fix something, that was such a pain to try to like reverse engineer. I remember spending hours trying to fix my mistakes, and then I would think I fixed it, keep knitting, and then realize I just had messed it up a different way because I didn't fix it properly, and yeah. Lots of mistakes and learning lessons with that one, but eventually finished it. I don't have it with me anymore because I gifted it to one of my best friends who recently moved to Italy, and she needs to stay warm because she's in northern Italy. But yeah, was so happy and proud of that one, and it was already really hot in Texas, so I couldn't wear it. It's also really big because I had chosen a thicker weight yarn. But yeah, I was really proud of that, and after that I was like, I'm a knitter. I can knit. Already launched myself into the gift knits, which still trying to learn boundaries on, but after that, in March and April, I knit 2 more Sophie scarves in this really nice, I think it's a 90% or 85 to 90% cotton, 15% cashmere yarn. I think it's Concept by Katya. And I knit, and that one also was like a fingering weight, so it was a lot better. And so I knit 2 more Sophie scarves in that for my partner's sister and his mom. And yeah, just wanted to impress everyone with my knitting skills, so I was busy at work on those. Oh, and then apparently I was knitting one more for myself. I was in Oregon at the time when I was working on that one, trying to finish it because it was pretty chilly there and I wanted something to keep my neck warm when we went to the beach. And unfortunately, I was a little tipsy after the winery one day and made a lot of mistakes on the second half of that one, so I have not worn it. I don't even know where it is at this point. So I need to fix that one, but yeah, that was one that I was knitting for myself. And then it looks like in May and June I also did my first ever sock. So I'm trying to see, oh yep, it was definitely this one. So I've been wearing these the last 2 days, so, and I'm not the best at weaving it in, so we'll hide that, but this was the first sock I ever made, and I have 2 now that I finally finished 6 months later, but yeah, this was the first sock I ever did. This was an anniversary yarn from my local yarn store that closed. I think it was Clarity Fiber Arts who was the dyer on this one and came up with this combo, but yeah, this was pretty easy to do. It's like a fun stockinette project, a little bit of ribbing. I did discover my purl stitches were twisted, which was twisting my ribbing. But overall, you learn a lot of good things in making this, and I had a lot of fun. It wasn't until recently in December that I finally finished the second one and have been wearing them, and yeah, I have to say I really love how temperature regulating wool is, so I've been really liking that. But we'll talk about my other projects first. So yeah, I did, oh, and for those socks I used Summer Lee's I'm So Basic sock pattern. She is a big sock designer and knitter. I also bought her book, The Sock Project, in July, and this is 25 patterns, talks all about sock knitting and sock construction. So really excited to do more of these. I'm actually planning on doing a berry and mustard yellow version of these scrimshaw socks, which is going to be my first venture into color work. So I'm excited for that. There's also, my friend Hannah had knit some really cute lacy pointelle socks that I bought a really nice like grayish yarn for, that I want to do later in the spring. And then at some point I have to make these sunny side up little flowery socks because they're so cute. I have to admit I don't love knitting socks because they're like the smallest needle size possible. You knit them on a size 1, and that can be really tedious, and also sometimes I just really like hurt myself knitting those because the needles are a lot sharper, but it's worth it to wear the socks, I have to say. So that's encouraging me to knit some more socks, and I would highly recommend this book. So my next big project after that, because I was like, you know, I'm such a good knitter already, let's try to make a sweater. So this was, let's see, where's the front and back? This was the first sweater I made, first and only so far. This is her. Let's hold her out a little more here for the thumbnail. She's beautiful. I love her. She took, let's see here, I want to say 2 or 3 or even 4 months to knit as a first-time knitter. There were a lot of mistakes, especially in the beginning when I was first working on this. I was still purling wrong, so all of my German short rows in the back are looking a little wonky, but it looks intentional, like it's for, you know, more airflow. And this is supposed to be a boat neck top, so I think my twisted ribbing kind of messed that up a little bit too. But after that, there's like no mistakes in this whole thing, which is fantastic. And it just has a really nice flare sleeve. I also made it a little more cropped, and instead of knitting it in the Knitting for Olive pure silk, I actually knit it in Sandness Yarns Mandarin Petite, which is, I believe, I don't have any on me, but I believe it's a 100% cotton yarn. If not, maybe it has a little bit of viscose or something in it too. But yeah, since I live in the South, I needed something more lightweight, so I thought, oh perfect, I'll make this blouse in cotton. But because it was held double and they were both fingering weights, it's pretty thick, I have to say. Like, this is definitely warm. I'm not wearing this in the Texas summer. Maybe like a north or, yeah, northeast, northwest coast summer, but not around here. But I love her, and the reason why it's kind of this watermelon-y color palette is because they didn't have enough quantity of the pink yarn that I wanted to use. And so on Ravelry, which is like a knitting website that I can link to down below, that's kind of like the big forum and website for sharing patterns and projects and finding things you want to do. I saw somebody had done like a color block version, either for this pattern or a very similar one, and it was some German lady who did it, so I didn't understand anything that she was writing, but I thought it looked good. And so I thought, let's get a little creative and do a color block situation on this as well. And I'm so happy I did. I get a lot of compliments when I wear this out from like really cool dressed waiters and baristas, so I think that's a big compliment, because they're always dressed really fashionably. And yeah, really happy with this. I ended up finishing it in Florida a little bit after the 4th of July. And yeah, I love it. I have to say the pattern's very well written, really easy to understand. Any sort of thing I didn't know how to do, I would just search on YouTube. And the cotton does roll quite a bit, but I'm okay with that, and really proud of this for being my first like top slash sweater. So around the same time, I decided to make my partner a hat. Unbeknownst to me, wait, is that the word? No. Okay, unknown to me, I was still purling wrong. Here's his hat. I'll unroll it so we can see it that way too. It's just a free Purl Soho pattern, which I can also link, and it's a 1x1 ribbing, which this took forever. I want to say this took me like 6 to 8 weeks because of the 1x1 ribbing. I was still a really slow knitter. I was knitting English style, which is still my preferred, but he ended up really liking this a lot, and he wears it whenever he's traveling, so or in the winter, and so it's worth it because I was consistent with my twisted purl stitches the whole time. You can't tell. And it's just a really great wool silk blend yarn. And yeah, I wanted to say at first when I finished this, I was like, I'm never doing that pattern again. I hate 1x1 ribbing. Now that I'm more experienced, I would maybe give it another shot, make myself one. And I have to say, I wish I would have sized down in the pattern, just because as a beginner knitter, I didn't really know, but. Alright, y'all probably didn't miss anything, but my camera died. Had to charge it for an hour and decided to give my Christmas present a little first try, and wound my first ball of yarn. I will insert footage after this because it was quite a learning experience as well, and unfortunately, like, one of the screws has already broken like before I was even winding my first ball, so hopefully they can send me a replacement screw, or I can fix it with some hot glue because the like head of it wasn't sticking on. But yeah, let me show y'all. I'm so happy. I'll talk about this project a little later, but yeah. So where was I? Ooh, okay. I talked about the hat and all that. Okay, I think what's next is to talk about a failed project. So in August and September, I had a trip to New York planned in September to visit one of my best friends, and I really wanted to make, like, as a summer piece, this really cute vest top by Mochi knits called the Soul Top, and I really love the edging on this, and so this was knit flat, not in the round. And yeah, I was really excited about this matcha color. This is Linne by Sandness Yarn in the color matcha. And yeah, I was working, trying to get this done for New York. I did not get it done by New York, so I was still working on it in New York. And this was pretty fun to do, although knitting flat like takes forever compared to knitting in the round, so this was really like a labor of love. Started to learn continental knitting last month, so hopefully that would help, or that will help me to knit faster and do more flat pieces in the future. But unfortunately I have not worn this because the proportions are not right on me. I ended up adding like another decrease or two just because I do have like a larger chest and cup size. I was already the largest size in this pattern, and the proportions just kind of look terrible on me. Also, it's kind of giving medieval peasant, but not in a cute way, like you could wear it to the Renaissance fair. So I will be undoing this project. I have 6 more balls of this that I recently stocked up on, and so I think I'm gonna do some sort of t-shirt or summer, just a different summer top with this, I think, because the pattern, unfortunately, I don't think I'm experienced enough to do the modifications to the pattern that would be needed, and also I just don't really think I look that good in best patterns to begin with, so that was my fail. So yeah, that one I finished. I love the color, so I do want to use this yarn. I think this was already 4 or 5 balls of yarn, so yeah, hopefully I can repurpose that. Then I need to get my other projects out here. I have a different summer tank top I'm working on, and this is on pause right now until this next summer. It's a little bit difficult to show, but I love this aqua color. This is the Tin Linne by Sandnes Yarn, and it's gonna be this really cute tank top. Unfortunately, once I switched from flat to knitting in the round, my tension got a lot tighter, and I felt like it was pretty noticeable, and also it was messing up the dimensions. So yeah, I'm gonna need to take this to the experts at my local yarn store and help them, or have them help me troubleshoot it. But I can show what it's supposed to look like to y'all. It's gonna be this really cute tank top like that. So yeah, excited about that. Those are really fun projects, and I do like working with the Sandnes Yarn Linne and Tin Linne. So excited to pick those back up in the summer when it gets freaking hot here again. And after that, I knew I was going to Chicago for work in November, so I wanted to make something warm, and so I made the Bonnet #1 Country Edition by My Favorite Things Knitwear. And this was a really cheap, quick, fast project. I used Mode by Rowan. What's it called? They're merino soft in navy blue, and it was 2 skeins, so they were $8 each, so like a $16 project. It's not cute with my hair up, so I'm not going to try it on for y'all, but I could insert a picture, or you could see it on my Instagram. But yeah, wore this in Chicago. My colleagues thought it was really cute, and really happy with how this turned out. I do wish I had used a mohair, which the original pattern calls for. I think that would have made it look even cuter, or even possibly knit a size up. But yeah, still wear this. I think it's really cute, realizing I need to fix some of my end weaving in here. But yeah, I would definitely knit this again. Yeah, and I was really happy with it. So what do we have next? Oh, then we have some gift knits. So I went a little overboard with the gift knits this year. I'm still working on a gift knit, another one for my mom, but I knit a really, really lovely cashmere scarf for my dad, and so I'll put in pictures of that as well. I was sick after the Chicago work trip, and so I bought 2 skeins of DK weight cashmere from Cardiff Cashmere in this like nice just plain gray color. and did an adaptation of the Sophie scarf, which was my first time kind of, you know, making up a pattern myself. And I want to say it was about maybe 28 stitches wide, and I did like an I-cord edge, or maybe it was a multiple of 3 added on. I don't remember, but yeah, added that classic Sophie scarf like I-cord edge onto that, and the cashmere ended up growing quite a bit after I blocked it too. So, but I was really happy with that. I would love to knit one myself. So yeah, my dad really liked that one. And then for my mom, I got her some really beautiful yarn when I was in Florida in July. And so I did a like knit twist headband for her. I'll have to have her take a picture and send it to me because my picture was like awful, like in bad dark lighting, pre-blocking. So yeah, I worked on that for her. Still have a lot of yarn left over from that, like 50 or 60 grams out of 100 grams. So I'm gonna try to do mittens or fingerless mittens for her. And then I got 2 skeins of this really nice, I actually have it here, let me grab it. Or, oh wait, actually, I forgot I actually have it in my work bag because I'm working on the scarf right now. To match the kind of like darker purple pink color of her headband, I am knitting her a scarf right now, and this is my first lace work project with my cute koala stitch stoppers. So has little ruffles on the end. Really happy with how this is turning out. This is Emma's yarn, and I think she's a Florida dyer, and this colorway is called Ti Amo. The other one that matches the dark pink purple that I'm using is called Very Berry, and I really like this wool silk blend. It's really nice, especially once you like block it. It's like very soft. And I think this project's gonna end up being 1 skein in total. I don't know how many grams that is, but I have 2 of these balls, so if it does end up only taking 1 skein, I might end up making one for myself. So yeah, but with lace work, you know, it's like 12 rows of like different, a different pattern you do on each of those 12 rows and then repeat it. I have to really focus when I'm doing that. So that's not a great everyday project, it's a focus project, but lace work's not that hard. It's not that hard, so I've been really enjoying that as well. And then, as I mentioned, I finished my second Hill Country Weaver sock too. That was done a few weeks ago. So now I've just been debating on which project I'm casting on next because I have the knitting bug. There's so much I want to knit, and it's all about prioritizing, and I like to, you know, be a seasonal knitter. That's how I am with reading too. I'm a seasonal reader. Like, I want the vibes to fit the season. So now I did a little tiny gauge swatch yesterday. I'm going to make the Evie mittens and hood. So let me show some of that color. This is a bunch of La Bien-Aimée yarn in peach, their cashmerino and peach sweater, and then their silk mohair in Heliodor, which I have a ton of because I bought all of this at the closing sale of Hill Country Weavers. So I have all of those wound up and I'm ready to get started. And the other project I really want to start is I want to do the same pattern as my watermelon colored sweater, but do the light version, which is like a mohair silk version. But I don't know what that one's for. Maybe it's for this one. No. Oh, maybe it's from in this bag. Not sure there, but yeah, gonna do the blouse number 1 light by My Favorite Things Knitwear in this beautiful 50% cashmere, 50% merino wool. She calls it the Volute, and this is in the color Lisse. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I have a ton of yarn. Let's see here. I have a ton. This is an addiction. This is a problem. I might as well share some of these with y'all real quick before my camera dies. So this was the red I did that first Sophie scarf in that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. This is that very berry color I made my mom's headband in, and so it goes with that. This is some sock yarn that I'm going to do my first color work socks in. I recently bought these beautiful skeins from Wandering Farms Fiber, which is a heavy metal free dyer, I think based around me here in Texas. 100% organic merino wool, 200 grams total of this. So I want to do some sort of summer tank top in this. I think it's going to be really pretty. So much of, I have like 4 skeins of the Heliodor Sport Nouveau from La Bien-Aimée and a bunch of that same mohair silk that I'm using for the Evie stuff. So I don't know if these are going to be separate or together or what. I didn't really know how to buy mohair when I was buying all these things, so I kind of know now that I would have preferred to do one as a solid instead of both variegated, but you live and you learn. I also have this really pretty, just random La Bien-Aimée, I think it's their Alex. It's like a really fine fingering, possibly sock yarn, that eventually I'll use for something too. But yeah, I definitely have a yarn buying problem. There's one bucket. Here's the second one. This was the sock yarn you'll recognize. I have some of that left. I was recently passing through Dallas and stopped at Knit Dallas, which had the best selection in Texas I've seen so far. And I got to see some more of these Bichet and Boucher brand, Le Petite Silk and a Mohair, and they're dark green brown. Don't ask me about the naming conventions, but got a bunch of this brown mohair, which I'm hoping to also do my favorite things knitwear blouse #1 light in. Picked up some olive green cashmere to finally make myself another olive green scarf. Got this really pretty emerald green and dark blue mohair that eventually I want to do something with as well. This is going to be for lacework socks eventually. It's this graze yarn. I also at a trunk show recently at my local yarn store got this beautiful light blue silk mohair, so I want to do some sort of shawl with that, maybe my first shawl attempt, and then I kind of imagine it's something. I go to Florida every summer with my partner and his family, so would love a shawl for when, you know, there's AC inside and stuff. There's so much here. Okay, I also have a bunch of this olive green tin silk mohair by Sandnes Yarn that I also want to do a blouse #1 with, so we'll see. And then I got my first Noro yarns at another knitting store in Dallas. What was it called? Yarn Therapy, that's what the store was called, and the owner was really nice. So this is a cotton silk viscose blend, so want to make some sort of summer top with this as well. And then some other, you know, some left of the cotton cashmere by Katya. I have a random Lanes du Nord cash silk light mohair kind of thing going, so yeah, oh my god. And then not to mention, I have a bunch of this other tin linen, this like light oatmeal-y, darker cream color, kind of tan I guess, so really excited to make a summer t-shirt in this too. So yeah, I have way too much yarn. As you can see, first year of knitting went totally crazy. I'm obsessed. I don't want to know how much money I've spent, because a whole other topic is the amount of knitting needles I have, and because I lived by a local yarn store and they told me to of course get the most expensive type of needles, which I have to say they are the best, the Chiagoo needles. I have so many types of these. I have yet to buy the interchangeable needle set, but maybe that'll be next Christmas, because I did get a yarn swift and ball winder today, or for Christmas, which I used today. So yeah, 1 year, really deep into it. Don't see myself giving up knitting anytime soon. I think this is going to be a lifelong obsession. Probably will get into weaving at some point in the future too. I'm really lucky to have some friends who are knitters now, and I recently joined a new local knitting club with like all women in their 20s and 30s, which is really nice, and we meet up every Tuesday. So yeah, it's brought me a lot of community, a lot of peace, and I'm just obsessed with it, and I love all the colors. I love making my own clothes and like my own color palette. So yeah, hoping to make more content for y'all and talk about all things knitting, crafting, maybe books. So yep. And something else I wanted to say too was, if I can learn how to knit, you can learn how to knit too. All it takes is patience and perseverance. There are a lot of mistakes. Every knitter will admit that sometimes they just want to chuck their project and needles at the wall. That's totally normal. Luckily though, with natural fibers like wool and stuff, they're like very forgiving. So sometimes when you just wash things, it fixes some of the mistakes you've made, covers them up. Sometimes you can hide them. So yeah, I would really recommend you get into knitting as well. I've had a few friends who have started to try it, and I think they like it too. So I will try to see if I can find any other good resources for like videos that I would approve of as a beginner knitter, and I can share them down below. But thank you for watching so far, and hope to see you soon.